Welcome back to Building Foundations, the podcast by DGI Waterproofing. You know that feeling, right? You head downstairs and there it is. That mystery puddle. Or maybe just a damp patch spreading on the wall. Definitely not welcome. So today, we're doing a deep dive into something really crucial. How to fix leaks in your basement from the inside.
Hmm.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why do basements even leak? And more importantly, what can we actually do about it from inside?
Yeah, it's a great topic. And what's fascinating here, and maybe a relief for a lot of listeners, is that fixing leaks from the inside, it's absolutely possible. And, it often doesn't mean digging up your entire yard or spending a fortune, which I think is what a lot of people immediately worry about. We really want to empower you today, give you the knowledge about, well, both the temporary steps you might try yourself and then the kind of long-term professional solutions we offer here at DGI Waterproofing.
Perfect. Knowledge is power, especially when water's involved. So let's start with the basics. Understanding the enemy, as they say. Why does water decide our basement is the place to be? What are the main causes?
That's definitely the right place to start. You got to know what you're fighting, right? So one of the biggest culprits, and you see this mentioned everywhere, is something called hydrostatic pressure.
Hydrostatic pressure. Okay, what exactly is that in simple terms?
Sure. So imagine heavy rain or maybe snow melting really fast. All that water sinks into the ground around your house. The soil gets totally saturated, heavy, waterlogged. And all that weight, that water, it creates this intense pressure pushing against your foundation walls.
Ah, okay, so it's the sheer weight of the wet ground pushing inwards.
Exactly. And that pressure is strong enough to actually force water through tiny little cracks, seams, and the pore spots in the concrete itself, right into your basement.
Wow. So if I'm seeing water actually coming through the wall, that could easily be hydrostatic pressure at play.
Very likely, yes. And it often works hand in hand with another issue, something called the clay bowl effect.
The clay bowl effect. Okay, tell me more.
Well, think about when your house was built. They dug a hole, right? Bigger than the foundation. Then they put the foundation in and filled the gap around it with the dirt they dug out. That's called backfill.
Right.
The thing is, that backfilled soil, it's never as dense or compacted as the undisturbed ground further away. It's looser. So water tends to collect in that looser soil right around your foundation, like it's sitting in a bowl made of clay, kind of. It doesn't drain away as easily.
Okay, I get it. So the loose soil traps water right next to the walls, increasing that hydrostatic pressure we just talked about.
Precisely. It's like a double whammy sometimes.
Makes sense. So hydrostatic pressure, clay bowl effect.
Right.
What else causes these leaks? You mentioned cracks earlier.
Yeah. Absolutely. Foundation cracks are a huge one. Even hairline cracks, the kind you might ignore, they can happen just from the house settling naturally over time, or maybe the foundation wasn't sealed perfectly when it was built. But even tiny cracks become, well, easy entry points for water, especially under that pressure.
So even small cracks aren't just cosmetic. They're potential leaks waiting to happen.
Definitely. Then there's the original dampproofing. Most foundations have a basic coating applied on the outside when they're built, like a moisture barrier.
Okay.
But over time, decades usually, that coating can wear down, get damaged by shifting soil, or just degrade. And once it's compromised, your foundation's more exposed.
Right. The original protection wears off.
Exactly. And, sometimes the leak isn't even coming from outside. We can't forget plumbing issues.
Ah, good point. Internal sources.
Yeah, like a leaky pipe inside the basement, maybe a valve on the water heater dripping, or even if the sump pump setup isn't sealed quite right, it can look just like water coming through the foundation, but it's actually starting inside.
That's tricky. You could be chasing the wrong problem entirely.
It happens. And one more common one, window wells.
Oh yeah, those basement windows.
If the drain in the window well gets clogged, or maybe the cover is cracked or missing, rainwater and snowmelt can just pool in there, and then that water sits against the window frame or the concrete around it, and eventually it seeps right in.
Makes total sense. Okay, so lots of potential causes. Figuring out the right cause seems like the critical first step.
Absolutely paramount. You need to know what you're fixing before you start fixing it.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Here's where it gets really interesting for homeowners, I think. Can you actually tackle some of these leaks yourself, at least temporarily?
Yes, you definitely can. There are some effective temporary interior DIY fixes. But, and this is important, we always stress that for a real long-term solution, professional waterproofing, like the systems DGI installs, is usually the way to go.
Yeah.
These DIY steps are more like control measures. Good first aid, let's say.
First aid, I like that. So what's step one in basement first aid? Finding the leak, right?
Exactly. Step one, Find where the leak is coming from, grab a good flashlight, maybe some chalk or tape, and really inspect everything. Look closely at the walls, especially where the wall meets the floor. Check around windows, any pipes going through the wall, mark any damp spots, drips, or even just discolored areas.
Okay, detective work first, get the evidence. What's next?
Step 2, get rid of excess humidity. If your basement just feels damp and muggy overall, even without obvious puddles, that moisture is still a problem. So running a dehumidifier is a great idea. Or even just improving air circulation, opening a window if possible, and running a fan can help dry things out and discourage mold growth.
Good general advice for any basement, really. Okay, step 3. I saw insulating pipes mentioned. How does that fit in?
Yeah, it seems a bit unrelated sometimes, but cold water pipes, especially in warmer, humid months, can get condensation on them. They sweat, basically.
Right, I've seen that.
And that dripping can pool on the floor or make walls damp nearby. It's often mistaken for a leak. A quick fix is just wrapping those cold pipes with foam pipe insulation. It's cheap, easy, and stops the dripping.
Simple but effective. Okay, and the last DIY step mentioned is plugging small holes or cracks.
Right. Step 4. Plug small holes or cracks in the wall.
Yeah.
If you find a small, obvious crack or hole where water is seeping, you can use materials like hydraulic cement or a concrete patch compound. These are designed to expand a bit as they cure, and they can create a temporary block.
Temporary being the key word there.
Definitely temporary. It might stop a small seep for a while, but it doesn't fix the underlying reason the water is getting in, like that hydrostatic pressure. And sometimes, if the pressure is high, the water just finds another way around the patch or builds up behind it.
Okay, so these are helpful control measures, first aid, but maybe not the cure.
Exactly, which, raises that important question. When is it time to stop patching and call in the professionals?
Yeah, that's the big one. So if the water keeps finding its way back, or maybe those little cracks seem to be getting bigger, what are the signs it's time for DGI waterproofing to step in?
Those are definitely key signs. Recurring leaks despite your best DIY efforts, cracks that are visibly growing that could indicate movement, or if you have leaks showing up in multiple different spots, those usually mean there's a bigger issue that patching won't solve.
Okay, so when DGI gets called, what's the approach? How does the professional interior waterproofing process work? I assume it starts with a thorough look.
Absolutely. It always starts with a full interior inspection. Our experts come out, assess the entire situation, identify all the entry points, figure out the underlying causes, hydrostatic pressure, cracks, whatever it might be. It's about understanding the full picture before recommending a solution.
Right, makes sense. And once you know what's going on, what are the typical steps for an interior fix? Let's start with those cracks. You mentioned DIY patching isn't enough long-term.
Correct. For professional crack repair, we go much deeper. Step 1 is often filling foundation cracks properly. We use professional-grade injection materials, usually epoxy or polyurethane resins. These aren't just smeared on the surface. We inject them into the crack under pressure. They penetrate deep, expand slightly as they cure, and form a really strong, flexible, watertight seal right inside the concrete. It basically becomes part of the wall again.
Wow, okay. That sounds way more permanent than hydraulic cement.
It absolutely is. It addresses the crack through its full depth. Then, depending on the situation, step 2 might be installing a waterproof membrane on the interior walls.
A membrane, like a sheet barrier.
Sort of, yeah. It's a specialized, heavy-duty, impermeable material. We apply it directly to the cleaned interior foundation walls. It acts like an ultimate barrier, physically stopping any moisture that might still try to seep through the concrete wall from getting into your basement space.
So it contains any moisture behind it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But applying it correctly takes expertise. The wall prep has to be meticulous. You need the right tools, the right techniques to make sure it's sealed properly and will actually last. It's not like painting the walls.
Right. Definitely sounds like pro work. Okay, so cracks are sealed. Maybe there's a membrane. But what about water coming up from under the floor? Or water that gets past the wall repairs somehow?
Great question. That leads to step 3, which is often the core of an interior system. Setting up an interior drainage system.
Like a French drain, but inside.
Precisely. We carefully cut a narrow trench in the concrete floor slab around the perimeter of the basement, right against the foundation wall. Inside that trench, we install a specialized perforated drain pipe. This pipe is designed to collect any water that seeps through the wall floor joint or even comes up from under the slab due to hydrostatic pressure.
Okay, so it intercepts the water at the edge.
Exactly. And that drain pipe is sloped slightly using gravity, so all the collected water flows towards one or more low points where we install a sump pump.
Ah, the sump pump, the workhorse.
Absolutely. The sump pump sits in a sealed basin, collects the water from the drain system, and then automatically pumps it up and out, safely away from your foundation. Installing this system requires real precision, getting the slope right, connecting everything securely, ensuring the pump is reliable.
That sounds like a really comprehensive way to manage the water. So the drain is in, connected to the pump. What's the final touch? You don't just leave a trench in the floor, right?
No, definitely not. Step 4 is the gravel fill and concrete finish. Once the drain pipe is in place, we fill the trench around it with washed gravel.
Why gravel?
The gravel allows water to flow easily into the drain pipe without clogging it with silt or debris. It creates a clear path for the water. Then, once the gravel is in, we pour fresh concrete over the top, smoothing it out to restore your basement floor, making it look seamless again.
Back to normal, but with a hidden defense system underneath.
That's the idea. When it's all done correctly, this whole system, the crack seals, the membrane maybe, the drain, the pump, it all works together to keep your basement reliably dry. It's about securing that foundation, protecting your home long term.
That's incredibly reassuring. Okay, so DGI has done the professional work, the basement's dry. What can homeowners do now to, protect that investment, make sure the system keeps working effectively for years? Is there maintenance involved?
That's a fantastic point. While our professional systems are built to last, like any important system in your home, a little bit of regular TLC, some simple maintenance can definitely help ensure it performs optimally for the long haul.
Okay, so what kind of TLC are we talking about? What are the practical habits homeowners should adopt?
Well, a few key things come up consistently. First, keep running that dehumidifier, especially during humid months. Keeping the overall humidity low is always good for basement health and helps prevent any potential mustiness or mold, even if there are no active leaks.
Makes sense. Keep the air dry. What else?
Do regular visual inspections yourself. Just walk around your basement every few months, look at the walls, the floor, especially where the work was done. Check for any new damp spots, stains, or cracks. Catching something small early is always better.
Be proactive. Keep an eye out. Good advice.
Yeah, and definitely test your sump pump regularly, maybe every 3 or 4 months. Just pour a bucket of water into the sump pit to make sure the pump kicks on, runs smoothly, and shuts off correctly. You don't want the first time you discover it's not working to be during a downpour.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial check. Anything else?
A couple more simple things. Try to keep storage boxes and furniture a few inches away from the foundation walls. This allows air to circulate, preventing trapped moisture and letting you easily see the walls during your inspections.
Good practical tip.
Also, keep an eye out for condensation, like we talked about earlier, on pipes or even basement windows. Insulate them if needed. And if you have any floor drains in the basement, make sure they're kept clear of debris so they can actually drain if needed. Sometimes a simple clog there can cause water to back up.
Right, don't forget the floor drains.
And maybe consider getting a little hygrometer, a device that measures humidity. It's inexpensive and give you a clear number so you can see if humidity levels are creeping up, maybe indicating it's time to check the dehumidifier or look for a new small issue.
These all sound like really manageable, easy habits to get into.
They really are. Just simple, proactive steps. They don't take much time, but they can significantly extend the life and effectiveness of your waterproofing system and give you that ongoing peace of mind.
Fantastic. Well, this has been incredibly informative. We've really covered the journey, haven't we? From understanding why basements leak that hydrostatic pressure, the clay bowl, cracks, plumbing, drawing on insights, just like those found on the DGI blog. Then we looked at those immediate DIY first aid steps, finding the source, dehumidifying, patching small bits while understanding their limits. And finally, we walked through the really robust professional interior solutions DGI offers, the crack injections, the membranes, the crucial interior drain and sump pump system, right down to the finish. Plus, how to maintain it all. It's been a great deep dive.
Absolutely. So what does this all boil down to? What's the core message here? I think it really is. It's what's inside that counts. Now, sometimes a combination of interior and exterior work is the ultimate solution for sure. But starting with professional interior waterproofing is a really powerful, effective strategy to keep water out, protect your home, and honestly just restore your peace of mind about your basement. Maybe think about your basement not just as, storage space or somewhere the furnace lives. Think of it as a vital part of your home's foundation. It deserves the same care and protection as your living room, right? So maybe a final thought to leave you with. What hidden problems, what future headaches might you be preventing by taking action now based on what we've discussed?
That's a great way to frame it. Protect the foundation. Thank you so much for breaking all that down for us, and thank you, our listeners, for joining us on Building Foundations. We hope this deep dive into interior basement waterproofing has been helpful. Remember, you can find more details and helpful articles, much like what we discussed today, on the DGI Waterproofing blog at dgowaterproofing.com. And if you're in the Greater Toronto area and facing basement water issues, don't hesitate to reach out to DGI Waterproofing. They offer 24/7 same-day response because leaks don't wait. Give them a call at 647-483-2455. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Building Foundations.